Let's freaking go.
Come with me, baby.
Got a few lovely guests in here tonight. What's up, Trey? We say hi to Jacob. We say hi to Tony.
Do they want to see
Johnny 5. Jacob, of course, they want to see Z, baby. Everyone say hi. As many of you know, you already know Presh right there. You know Z, baby.
You know me.
It's my new friend. This is my new friend. It's my new friend A State right here.
Me. I'm A State.
A State, and then this is one of my longtime best friends right here, Kinley.
Oh, okay.
And once again, you guys know we're all members of the Booger Band Club. Actually, I don't have one. I'm the only one. I just there you go, right there. So we had a bunch of people that wanted to join the Booger Band Club, and they wanted to jump in right there. So they just wanted to say hi. We have a lot to get to tonight. Okay, right, so peace. Are y'all out? All right. All right, bye, Presh.
Right. Okay, y'all hold it down.
All right, Kyla.
Thanks for having us.
See you guys. So what happened was I gave them my band. So, you have to entertain guests. So part of the reason why I wanted to start the live stream with all those lovely ladies, and of course, the Queen Bee herself, hey, is today sucked for me. Today sucked. Okay. So think about this. As LSU tackle football fans, all right. Actually, what happened, I gave them my band before I came in here. And now I got a new one. Actually, I wear two. So think about this, how lucky we are as LSU fans. All right. Now, what I want you to do is think about 1-9-12. Okay. Think about that game versus Alabama, the rematch. It sucked. At least we won the other three. Right. So today, Liverpool, I'm very lucky we have won 6 Champions League titles, but we lost today to Real Madrid. Now, here's the funny thing. Imagine if there was a football game where one team outgained the other team by 400 yards. And you still lost. You've all seen it happen, right? You see one football team dominate the other and they still lose. That is exactly what happened today to Liverpool. They outshot Real Madrid 24-3, and we still lost. As you can see, I'm still rocking my Liverpool gear. Let's see if we can get the fancy camera on, and the fancy camera is now on. I wanted you to be able to see the background. We say hi to Greg. We say hi to Tony. We say hi to Jacob, and I want to shout out our first super chatter of the evening. Johnny 5, baby, let's go. So shout out to our lovely guests to start off today's episode. And to start things off here, I want to talk about John Emery. You guys saw the title, and you guys know I've been working on a running back deep dive. Now, I will say this, all right? I am very fortunate to know a few former great LSU running backs. I don't talk to Justin Vincent as much as I probably should. He was absolutely phenomenal as a guest on here. But Jeremy Hill, I talked to him a good amount. He is absolutely wonderful. Talked to him earlier today. And he actually was a good friend to me. He was the only friend of mine. A few others did. But he was the first friend of mine to call in and check on me, knowing that my favorite team lost today. So shout out to Jeremy Hill. I just wanted to show him some love. His jersey's not up. Mo Salah's jersey is still up there. But I want to shout out Jay Hill because he showed me that it's more than just football. He was a really good friend to me today. Now, think about 1-9-12. That's how I feel right now. We lost the Super Bowl tonight or earlier today. There was a riot. It was crazy. A lot of fans got pepper sprayed, whatever. We could talk about that a little bit later. I do want to share this, though, about John Emery to start tonight's live stream, because we're going to talk about John Emery. We're going to talk about KAYSHON BOUTTE. I don't get these rumors that are out there that KAYSHON is, and this is honestly mostly the fantasy football community that I've seen push these rumors out there that KAYSHON is thinking about sitting out this next year. I don't believe that to be true. I just don't. And I actually start with that, and then we'll get to John Emery. Once again, Super Chat's wide open. Whoever Super Chats, we go straight to your topic. Johnny 5, you get to pick the next topic. But really quickly here on KAYSHON, I think he's going to play because unlike Jamar Chase, he is not the clear-cut number one wide receiver in this draft, right? I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is really highly rated. And I do think Jordan Addison, now that he's got Caleb Williams thrown to him, I think Jordan Addison could jump KAYSHON as well. Highly unlikely, though. I think KAYSHON's going to play next year. I do. I just don't see a scenario where he says no, right? So the second thing is here with John Emery, I'll put it this way, okay? I went and I did a deep dive, and it'll probably drop tomorrow night, okay? Because I saw some Notre Dame running back data that actually supports John Emery having a breakout year as well. So I'm starting to see a lot of numbers that show that John Emery is going to be really good this year for LSU. Now, this is a big thing, though. Let's just say John Emery is not decent this year. It would be one of the biggest bust in the history of SEC football. Not just LSU football, SEC football, okay? And I'm going to share with you one little nugget from our running back deep dive, okay? There was only one running back in the history of LSU football that stayed in the modern era, that stayed at the program 4 years or longer and never had a breakout year. Only one running back. So what does that tell you? That LSU running backs have a very high floor, right? If you stay a certain amount of time, you're eventually going to work out, okay? Because if not, you transfer out if you're not the guy anymore. But the truth, and once again, KAYSHON's going to play next year. I still get a bunch of texts, though. I still see it in fantasy. There was a viral tweet that went around that there was some random fantasy guy that said he doesn't believe KAYSHON's going to play it down next year. I just don't believe it. But let me share this really quickly about John Emery. If he can just hold the football and pass protect decent, he's going to be really solid next year. Because, and this is the biggest thing, if you look historically, a lot of LSU running backs have succeeded without being out of this world. We won a lot of football games with Terrence McGee as the lead back. We won a lot of football games with Nicholas Brissett as the lead back. We won a lot of football games with Kenny Hilliard as the lead back. Were any one of those three guys spectacular? No. They weren't. Now, they were good. They were great Tigers. They put in a lot of work. They worked their tails off. They got the job done in the classroom. They got the job done in the weight room. Keyword, weight room. Wink. We're going to have a good running back room this year. If they do what they need to do. Okay? But I go back to this. Running back play overall is overrated. Okay? And I'm already going to give you like the big nugget right here from the running back deep dive. Running back play has everything to do with your scheme and who's in front of you. Now, I will share this. Okay? Are there some running backs? Are there some that can truly move the needle? Yeah, there's some. Not many, but there are some. Jeremy Hill was one of them. Leonard Fournette was one of them. Darius Geis was one of them. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was one of them. But there's honestly not that many. There's not that many. So the one thing we tend to think is you have to have somebody special at running back. You don't. You simply don't. You got to have special talent at wide receiver, though. I truly do believe in the modern day if you don't have wide receivers, you're not going to win. Now, what's really interesting about that is there was a long run of Super Bowl champions that won a lot of games without great receivers, right? A lot of those Patriot teams, their best receiver was Deion Branch, right? But for the most part, you got to have good players on the outside. So I understand, we talk a lot about John Emery on this channel, but the truth of the matter is, if we have KAYSHON, if we have Jack Besh, and those two guys in particular stay healthy for an entire season, we're going to be fine. Okay? If KB doesn't want to be true to LSU, dump him. It's about the team. We have many guys up and coming. I think KAYSHON wants to play next year. I really do. I don't want, and this is very key, I don't want there to be I don't want it to be my channel where, people say, well, Carter was talking about him. No, that's my point is it's ridiculous how many texts, how many messages I still get about KAYSHON not playing. And I think the big reason why is, number one, he didn't play in spring, but he was hurt. He was very involved in spring. But this is a bigger thing, right? I think a lot of people saw Jamar Chase and Micah Parsons, and they think that more players are going to do what they did because Jamar Chase and Micah Parsons were two of the best rookies in the history of the NFL. Okay? In the history of the NFL. And the one thing both of them have in common is they both sat out. Okay? Now, a lot of NFL draft gurus out there think that more people are going to do that. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I just don't. Could I see a trend of players doing this but not really being successful in the NFL or sliding down draft boards? I could see that. I really can. But I also think what made what Jamar and Micah Parsons did very different is they sat out a Rona year, right? There was a deadly, in the air, right? That's why they sat out. It had nothing to do with the actual team, right? Could I see it, though? Could I see elite prospects eventually saying, look, I don't want to play my junior season. I'm ready to I'm ready to pack it up. I could see it. But I do agree with Rob, right? If you don't want to play, this is what I would say about this, Rob. This is what I would say. I am of the belief, and not a lot of people agree with what I'm about to say, okay? And that's perfectly fine. I think football is a sport where you can't go half at it. Physically and mentally, you have got to be there. And if I am in the locker room and I know that, and look, and this applies to KAYSHON as well. This applies to anyone. Okay? This applies to anybody. If you don't want to suit up and play this violent sport with me and put your life, and essentially that's what football is. You're putting your life on the line. Now, it's very rare that you get a life-altering injury, but it can happen. It can. You can have a life-altering injury in football. If you aren't fully in, and I would say this about any player on any team, don't play. That's all there is to it. Don't play. That is psychological warfare if the team knows you don't want to be there. Okay? Now, I'm not saying like football is this mythical sport where every single second of every single day you've got to be locked in 1,000%. That is simply unattainable. But if you truly don't want to be there, this sport's not for you. It's not. And that's what makes it very unique. I think there are other sports where you can just kind of, go through the motions. I do. I don't think football is one of them. I don't. So yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why Brian Kelly's talked so much about KAYSHON, because look, let's just say he doesn't play this next year, whether it's a nagging injury, whether it's him just wanting to sit out, he's still going top 20. Especially now with wide receivers in the premium at that position in the NFL, and in particular the draft, knowing guys don't want a Tyreek and pay them $30 million a year, and knowing how good these receivers are just coming right out the gate. And KAYSHON's an LSU receiver, where we saw Jamar and Justin do something that we've never seen before, ever. We've never seen rookie wide receivers be this good, right? Randy Moss was just great right out of the gates, but we've never seen this, ever. So, Rob, thank you for the super chat. Oh, Pegasus, don't make me put you in timeout, man. I know you're a real Real Madrid fan, so congratulations. So once again, I talked to Jay Hill a little bit earlier tonight, and he's a big Real Madrid, well, not huge Real Madrid fan, but shout out to Madrid. We outshot them 24-3 today, and we still lost. Think about that. I'm pulling for Emery, but for someone who saw his games at Destrin, I think that he's being overhyped. So this is what I'll say about Emery, okay? The key thing, and someone mentioned pass protection a minute ago, right? Shout out to Doug. Doug knows everything. I love it. What's up, man? Good to see you again, Doug. What's up, Tony? I still get the profile photo up. I love it. If John Emery is healthy and he exists, he's going to be good. I'm telling you, I've looked at this data now for over a week and a half. John Emery would be one of the biggest outlier bust in the history of it. He would be the biggest, right? Because LSU running backs simply don't bust. They don't. They all it's uncanny how well most of them just, like, for instance, here's a good example of this, right? Nicholas Brissett. Nobody leading into 2018 was high on Nicholas Brissett. He had true naysayers, right? And Nicholas Brissett had just this ridiculous amount of unluckiness sitting behind Darrell Williams, Leonard Fournette, and Darius Geis. Okay? They're world class. But he still turned out decent. Right? Decent. He was good. I will say this, though. All right. After doing this running back deep dive, I did learn something. Let's go back to this. We're going to prove the naysayer wrong. So let's go, Tony. Let's go. Aaron is in the hizzy, baby. Let's go. Aaron. Hey. Woo. It's not a live stream until Aaron is in the hizzy, baby. What's up, Aaron? Okay. Uh-oh. Big Al, the treasurer of PL, Big Al. Hey, you guys, all right. We're 60 strong on a Saturday night. That's normally pretty good for a Saturday. Okay. Now, of course, The more PHL, the betters, the betters. But I like it when we're in this 50 to 70 range because it's a little bit easier. It's a little bit calmer and we're just chilling. You know, my favorite number. You already know what my favorite number of chatters are. Nice. And we're getting there. What's up? I'm on one. Let's go. Oh, you got an unk on there. I like that. Yeah, normal guy. So I promise you, I've been getting a few Liverpool questions. We will talk about that a little bit later. This is an LSU football channel. I did my Liverpool rant to start. We had, for those that missed it, Haley made a rare appearance, and 3 of her friends were here. Her niece, my little Presh, she's like 8 or 9. And we had a Division I softball player here, Ken. She's great. And then my new friend Kyla, she was in here. So you guys missed it. They're still in there hanging out. We might get them back in here. Marcus, give us your beard tips. Share some of that beard oil. So I do want to make an announcement. I will be starting a Patreon channel pretty soon where you're going to get some extra content. It'll just be a few extra bucks. And a lot of you have asked me, do you have any tips on watching tape, right? How do you do the film studies? Because I would say probably a third of you, your favorite thing is the live streams, right? A third of you, your favorite things are just our normal videos. And a third of you, probably your favorite thing are the film studies. And we don't do a whole lot of film studies in the off season because, well, I have the data and a lot of them don't do well. I don't know exactly why. During the season, film study numbers are normally better. So a few of you have been asking me to do more film studies, and I'm going to have a Patreon channel just for a few bucks every month. I'm going to be doing a bunch of little film studies on there, and you'll have access to it. And we're going to have a private chat room for you guys to chat with me at all times, right? So we'll do a couple of posts, live stream chats on there, and you guys will talk about the current LSU news. It'll be a fun little chat room. And I know King Mo's going to do the Patreon. I know Tony's going to do the Patreon. Cosmess! Johnny 5, good to see you. Got to have the treasurer of PHL in there. So we'll be doing that pretty soon. Been working really hard on all that. Now, Doug wants to talk some Trey Bradford, and we'll talk some Trey Bradford. Okay. Let me do this. Let's do this. We have some chicken teriyaki tonight. Okay. Ole, ole, ole. Ole, ole, ole. What the heck happened here? It's not letting me chat in there. Emory Jones. King Mo wants to talk some Emory Jones. You don't want us down to talk Emory Jones. Oh. The Master. Lester. Tony. What is this? 90s R&B? Now, Some of you got that reference, some of you didn't. It's perfectly fine. Uh, so, and that's what we're gonna do. So, if you're a member of the Patreon, I'm gonna be doing a lot of that, like recruiting breakdowns. It's just gonna be deeper Power Hour LSU, right? That's all it is. I'm in on the I'm in on the Patron as well. Well, Patron and Patreon are both awesome. Trey was like, "Wait, is that me? Is that my Cricket wireless internet? What's going on?" I love it. Actually, I don't know a whole lot about Tony, to be honest. I just had to make that reference. Let me see. You guys know this happens to me. It's actually Tony, Tone. Oakland, California, from 1986 to 1997. Tony, Tone. Okay, R&B group, Dwayne Wiggins, Timothy Christian Riley, and Raphael Sadiq. There we go. Is it still? Oh, it's still pronounced Tony. I just remember seeing their name. I was like, I just always loved the name of that group. I just did. So I don't know anything about their music really. Like, it's funny. I used to host an R&B morning show, and we played a lot of like 90s R&B. So it's like mostly like Charlie Wilson. I'm a big Charlie Wilson fan. I'm not gonna lie. I saw him open for Bruno Mars, and that's when I fell in love with him. Now, my old schoolers, my my Jerry Curl fans out there, you know Charlie Wilson from the Gap Band, right? You don't know anything about, Solo Charlie. Solo Charlie's good though. Solo Charlie, I is he better than just the Gap Band? I don't know. Could be a Justin Timberlake in sync kind of thing. But still. What's up, Chris? Good to see you. Cedric, what's good? We've had a good super chat night so far. We had Rob. I'm just waiting to see who's going to match Rob's $20. We had a nice little super chat before the live stream began. And now, let's see. I'm not seeing I'm on one and just not Charlie. That's a Charlie Murphy. I meant Charlie Wilson. I love Charlie Wilson. But anyway, I lost viewers talking R&B. I'm on one. I've not seen in a while, so we'll talk some recruiting really quickly. Okay, I'm going to share with you the players in 2023. Okay, that I like a lot. Now, I promise we'll talk Liverpool, Real Madrid. I know Pegasus is ready to rub it all in my face that Liverpool, despite outshooting Real Madrid 24-3, we lost another Champions League to Madrid. Anyway, I'm not sour about it at all. I only was sour about it all day. But look, let's chat recruiting. Okay. I do have tiers for the players that I like in this class. And I also factor in and this is just Louisiana, right? I've only done just a little bit of film study, and by film study, let's be honest, it's highlight study. Okay, highlight study is different. Okay, I'm not actually watching full games of these players. I don't think anyone is really able to do that. Brian, it's been a minute. I'll talk some LSU baseball a little bit later. But as you guys know, it's LSU football. I'm not saying that any one player is a must-get recruit. There's no such thing as a must-get recruit. They don't exist. But Shelton Sampson Jr. is on a tier of his own in this class. Some of it, thank you so much, Roger, for the super chat. Some of it is, God, I've gotten 2 super chats and they both say the same thing. Gotta pay for premium. Let's go to Rob, another super chat. So, Roger, you get to pick the next topic. Thank you so much, Rob. I really appreciate it. Not only supporting me, but supporting my good friend Blake. I really do appreciate you big time. Oh, congrats on the engagement. Thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate it. It's funny. I was in New York when you got engaged. I will never forget that. That's really cool. But let's be really honest, okay? As far as recruiting is concerned, if somebody super chats, I will share the other players in the class and how I rate the state of Louisiana right now. But Shelton Sampson is so far ahead of everyone else in the class. But I'll leave it at that for now. Somebody super chats, I'll share exactly. I have 3 specific reasons why I like Sampson the most. But Roger, you get to pick the next topic. We go to Rob here, double match. Who do you really think will be the starting quarterback? Okay, so Rob, this is pure speculation, and this is where it gets very interesting because there is no leader at quarterback right now. And I say that not with the 100% certainty, but I will share this. If Brian Kelly doesn't know yet who his starting quarterback is, number 1, it's fine. Number 2, it's preferred. And number 3, there's no way to know who the leader at quarterback is unless Brian Kelly says who the leader at quarterback is. Okay? I say this, though. The starting quarterback will be Jaden Daniels. Okay? This is Brian Kelly's first year. He is a stickler for experience. Now, he's played freshman quarterbacks in the past, right? But he loves himself some experienced quarterbacks. He just does. And when it comes to actual playing experience, Jaden Daniels is so far ahead of everybody else on the roster. But Miles Brennan has played the most at LSU. Okay? Miles Brennan has as many starts as Jaden Daniels has years starting. Okay? Now, that's not me saying Jaden Daniels is better than Miles Brennan. Okay? It's not me saying that at all. It's just the safety of it. It eliminates a lot of the uncertainty. You have a good idea what you're going to get out of Jaden Daniels. Some sketchy intermediate passing, not the cleanest mechanics, but he's a dual threat guy who can bail out a very bad offensive line if LSU's offensive line struggles, which it may. There's a lot of new faces out there. Then guess what? You're best off with Jaden Daniels. Now, if Brian Kelly feels better about his offensive line going into next year, that's going to increase the chances that Miles Brennan and Garrett Nussmeier can start. And being honest, you guys know how I feel about this. The vertical passing game and the explosive play game is the most important thing for an offense. The analytics have proven it time in and time out. If you win the explosive play battle, in other words, if you stop the other team from making explosive plays and you make more explosive plays than they do, you're going to win a lot of football games. If that's the case, Miles Brennan and Garrett Nussmeier, in particular Miles Brennan, gives you a better offense because he's not the prettiest vertical passer, but Miles Brennan can get vertical. I give him a lot of credit for that. A dual threat doesn't overcome a bad offensive line. You're right about that. Not necessarily. You are perfectly right about that, music. But a dual threat can help ease a bad offensive line, right? It can. Zone read game, offensive lineman's best friend. Also, as a pass rusher, You can't pin your ears back against a dual threat quarterback. You just can't do it. Got to keep pass rush lane responsibility. And if there's one thing Jaden Daniels can do is read a pass rush lane. Okay. Now, how Garrett Nussmeier looks in the fall is going to be very interesting. Same thing for Miles Brennan. Daniels has SEC experience. Brennan threw for more TDs in 3 games than Daniels threw all last year. Miles is your starter. Okay. I'm going to poke holes all into this. Okay. SEC experience. Okay. What exactly does that mean? Does it really mean anything? Miles Brennan's SEC experience came during a Rona year, okay, in 2020. And I hear this all the time, 2020 isn't the same year as all the other years. And I agree with that, okay? And he played against 3 of the bottom half defenses in the SEC, okay? Jaden Daniels started 3 separate years, okay? And there were a lot of teams in there that were 10 times better than any team Miles Brennan played. Wisconsin's defense last year was really good. Jaden Daniels played him in a bowl game last year. Okay? Now, is the SEC better than the Pac-12? Yeah. And does Miles Brennan's experience count for something? Yeah, absolutely. But 3 years of starters experience compared to 3 games of experience, I don't care if that's group of 5. I don't care if that's power 5. That's a lot. That means 3 years or 2.5 if you want to count the Rona year. Okay. 2.5 years. And I agree. Daniel's accuracy is something that's, up in the air. But the truth of the matter still remains the same, right? This SEC experience thing, it's honestly silly, right? It really is. Not many quarterbacks have SEC experience. Not many. Very interesting for sure. It's honestly the craziest quarterback battle LSU's ever had, right? The last year was kind of crazy, but we kind of had an idea of what to expect. This year, we honestly have no idea. Do you think LSU secondary has a chance against teams like Tennessee and Ole Miss, or are we going to be lunch meat? Thank you, RD, number 1, for your super chat. It goes a long way. Venmos and Cash Apps go a long way. Look, we have a fresh batch of shirts coming in the mail. If you have not joined the PHL T-shirt club, you better. You can ask Rob. You can ask RD, who's actually wearing our old school shirt. They are super cozy shirts. You know you want a shirt, right? Okay. Now, once again, before I answer RD Super Chat, I want to shout out our friends at the Presley Collection, PresleyCollection.com. Okay, I've told you about the PHL watches, okay? Promo code PHL to get an extra $30 off this watch right here, okay? See, $129, that means the watch will be $99. Pre-order your watch now. It'll be here by football season. Presley Collection, PresleyCollection.com. And I don't have a photo of the engagement ring. I need to get one on here. I trust your Presley Collection to pretty much schedule my engagement. And honestly, I know it sounds crazy, schedule your engagement. The engagement ring is what schedules your engagement. If you don't have a great engagement ring, what are you doing? I trust the Presley Collection to get that done for me, and Anthony Starr Presley knocked it out of the park. If you want to get an engagement ring, diamond pendant, all that stuff at the absolute lowest price, get with me right the F now, okay? I'm not saying later. I'm saying right the F now, okay? Now, here's RD right here. What's up, Mick? Good to see you, man. Okay? So if you guys want to see what RD looks like, there he is right there. I love getting to meet you guys in person, okay? And this was by far one of my favorite days of PHL because RD has been with me for quite some time, okay? And I was having kind of a crappy day, so bringing RD his shirt was just incredible. Do you think LSU secondary has a chance against teams like Tennessee, Ole Miss, or are we going to be lunch meat? I'll say this, okay? And I could be completely off on this, but RD, I'm kind of talking myself into LSU secondary being a little bit better, okay, than what it might be, okay? Now, let me wait, why did that do that? Oh, down all those comments. Oh, that's stupid. That's so stupid. So I got to keep this up for a little bit. God, I hate that. Artie, let me say this about the secondary for LSU. I'm talking myself slowly into them being a little bit better than we might think. Okay. We tend to think of secondaries as okay, there we go. There's all the comments. We tend to think of secondaries as just a star-driven position, especially at LSU, because we've had so many stars. And stars make your secondaries better. Okay. Jamal Adams makes your secondary better. Okay. Eric Reed makes your secondary better. We don't have a player of that caliber in our secondary. We just don't. But that could sometimes actually be a good thing because I do think this is true. And I've had a defensive back who played at the collegiate level and actually played under Bo Pelini share this with me. Okay. And he watched the 2020 secondary and he watched a little bit of the 2021 secondary. And he told me this. He said, Carter, you know what? I believe the LSU secondary is a group that is really talented but plays for themselves. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he was like, well, Carter, I know, and he had started watching the channel and he said, I know, I know that you always harp on them playing man coverage on every snap. And that is, suicide. Basically, I've always shared that. It's so stupid. I don't know how Ed Orgeron allowed that to happen. But, here's what I'll say. Okay. He was right. He was right. Because when a secondary has its best player in and out of the lineup the last 2 seasons, and we hyped him up, and he was hurt. But secondary, you got to have strong leaders. I truly do believe that's a position where you got to have strong leaders. We didn't have that. We didn't have that. You saw it in the Kansas State game. Tackling was poor. We were worried about chirping with the other team more than, getting the job done. We did not have the proper leadership. So maybe, just maybe, the LSU secondary, despite them playing the scheme that they played, needed a true tabula rasa. And honestly, this secondary is a clean slate. Major Burns barely played at all last year. So he's kind of a new player, right? Now, he's been in the program for a while, but he's new. This is Jay Ward, his second year playing safety. But arguably, our 5 best defensive backs are all newbies. Sage Ryan barely played last year. So maybe, just maybe, the secondary is getting a boost losing Elias Ricks. Now, on paper, you get considerably worse when you lose a corner of Elias Ricks' caliber. Really good football player. No other way around it. But maybe, just maybe, we needed a brand new slate of players. We needed a hard reset. Now, I will share this, Artie. As far as the secondary is concerned, Kerry Cooks has killed it in recruiting. Now, how much of that is Kerry? How much of that is Brian Kelly? How much of that is the LSU brand? We'll see. But Robert Steeples seems to be a special coach. Seems to be a special coach. Okay? I got a few industry sources that coach. You hear me talk about him in the film studies? And I've asked him a few times about Robert Steeples. They say he's special. I see him make the trip down to New Orleans to hang out with Tyrann Mathieu. They're the same age. They're the near same exact age. Just trying to be a sponge, soak up every last little thing. Because this is new. Even though you played defensive back, he's never been, I believe, just a defensive back coach, especially at the Power 5 level. Okay? Now, here's a few things about the secondary, RD, and you make a really good point about Tennessee and Ole Miss, where they fall on the schedule. Okay? So you look the last couple of years, LSU's schedule, and this is one of the things that makes college football very unique. Okay? It is the only sport that we have where, number one, the regular season matters so much more than everything else. And number two, it is the only sport where in the regular season, you play the same teams around the same type of year or same time of year, right? LSU's schedule is normally structured like this. Now, a few games have moved around, okay? Arkansas and A&M have flipped, okay? But for the most part, your schedule is normally the way it is, right? You play Mississippi State somewhat earlier in the year. You play Auburn kind of in the early middle, normally around game 4, game 5, Florida around the same spot. Then you play game 6, 7, and 8. Then you bye week before Alabama, so on and so on. So while that doesn't make it the same, because obviously teams changes, coaches changes, players leave. College football is a very fluid sport. It does create the same type of issues that you have to overcome. So, perfect example of this. Go back to the 2019 LSU season, okay? And you go back to the worst game that they played was Auburn, right? Now, defensively, we were great. They had Bo Nix, a true freshman quarterback. Dave Aranda showed up, showed out, and Stingley had that crazy pick in that game. So, that was a great game for us. But the offense struggled. Now, some of that was Auburn had a really good defense and a good defensive coordinator, lots of NFL guys. But some of that was just fatigue, right? You play 8 straight weeks. And you normally see around that 8th week, that the middle of the week, that game, we're not normally playing our best football there. We just aren't. So that's because you're getting tired. And this is why RD Super Chat is very important, because Tennessee's offense is going to wear us out. We could win that game. It's in Tiger Stadium. But what it's going to take to play Josh Heupel and then play Florida and then play Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss, who's got some really good weapons this year, it's going to take a lot out of the secondary, where it might not even matter how good they are. It might start to be how deep they are. And we get to Michael B here. All right. Actually, I have a good feeling about the secondary this year outside of depth, praying for no injuries. Injuries are going to happen. The secondary these last couple of seasons, and I do have a theory behind that. I do think when you play man coverage on every snap, it does open you up for more injuries, and that's exactly what we did. We had a crap ton of injuries, an unreal amount of injuries. Okay? So there you go. So think about all the injuries. Think about all the injuries. Let's see. You can, and injuries are mostly random luck. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. And I'm glad RD brought up the secondary. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Terrence Welch is a year one contributor. Okay. Not that you think he's a good player. We all know he's going to be a good player. We all know he's eventually going to be a good player. Do you trust Terrence Welch in year one? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Why is it this thing is not letting me? Why would this not let me chat? There we go. There we go. Oh, he says no. Let me see here. Now, if I move this, restore chat. Okay. God, that's crazy. It's not even letting me get on the thing. Let me see. Let me pull. All right. Now let me go here. All right. Now is it going to let me put the thing up there? Okay, good. Good. Enable. All right. There we go. Dead Eyes. What's up, Jed? Smash that like button. Feel free to super chat your question on in. I'm going to try to get to every question tonight. Once again, I go immediately to your question. Obviously, help this channel grow, setting up the Patreon, reinvesting. Most of the money I get just goes right back into the channel, and it goes to Haley and Z. Tony, I didn't ask for a maybe. I said a yes or a no. That's all I asked. It's for a yes and a no. I didn't ask for a maybe. What is this, Tony? You think this is a Carly Rae Jepsen song? Is that what you think this is? No, this is an LSU football live chat. This is not what you think it is. And nothing against Carly Rae Jepsen. We've talked about Tony. We talked about Carly Rae Jepsen. We've talked about Charlie Wilson. Ooh, you want to know who's been stuck in my head? Tevin Campbell. Can we talk for a minute? Girl, I want to know your name. There you go. It's a good question here from Mick. I hope you're feeling better, man. Yes and no. I do think the deadline kind of snuck up on some people. And what I think, Mick, is part of it was LSU had their spring practice a little bit later. So, that was it. I don't think our chat tonight is subscriber only. So hopefully Mick typing in porn bots doesn't get more porn bots in here. That's all good. Marcus is right. Someone's got to step up in the secondary. I don't think we really have a choice, ladies and Gentiles. The ladies of PHL aren't in here. No Danny, no Nurse Court, no Paris. My heart is sunk. And it's funny, we had the most women like on our channel tonight. Y'all got to tell Danny about that. Right? With all the safeties LSU has in our recruiting, do you think they'll be playing a lot of 2-3 deep zone defenses? Yeah, man, I don't know, Deadeye Jed. It depends, right? What's up, Max? I like too high defenses. I just do. I'm a believer in stopping explosive plays and make the other team run the football against you. But different people have different philosophies. A lot of different things can work, right? What's going to be very interesting, Deadeye Jed, is we don't have a lot of play calling experience on the defense, right? We just don't. We have 5 years of coordinator experience, and that's all with the defensive coordinator. That's not all that uncommon that you have a bunch of defensive coaches that don't have, defensive coordinator experience. What's very interesting, though, and this is something I really, really do find interesting, is we hired this defensive analyst that I found to be very fascinating. His name is John Jancic, and he was an analyst at Georgia. He was a former defensive coordinator. I'm very interested, and I know analysts, we don't know the extent of what analysts do. I'm very interested. I'm very interested to see what happens. I'm sorry to hear that, Mick. I really am. But yeah, for me, I just think this, right? If for some reason what you're doing defensively doesn't work, the best thing for you to do is just play very conservatively. Make the offense beat you. Make them work underneath, right? So, like, for instance, last year, Missouri hired Steve Wilkes, okay? And he was their defensive coordinator, and he had taken a year off. He's in the NFL for a long time. And he was objectively bad. Like, the Missouri's defense was one of the worst I've ever seen. So, what they should have done is when your defense can't do anything right, you should just play too high. Just play cover 2, cover 3, keep everything in front of you. Okay. Now, there are plenty of way smarter defensive coordinators that would rip me to shreds because it's not just that simple. But sometimes you just got to do that, right? Don't and not just do that on every play, but you get it, right? You just got to stop explosive plays. Make them earn it. Now, here's the thing that kind of stinks about the position that Matt House is in. There are no gimme quarterbacks on the schedule. There are none. Now, Auburn's quarterback room isn't that good. Calzada and TJ Finley. But we talked about this in our analytic live stream on Thursday. S&P Plus, or I say S&Ps, SP Plus, okay? Bill Connolly's metric. LSU has 9 teams that are Power 5 level teams on their schedule. We stop it here. We'll go to Rob Super Chat. Thank you so much. Hey, Carter, on a different note, this is Memorial Day weekend. God bless America and love to all our PHL brothers and sisters. So I say this, Rob, and I know this means a lot to you. It means a lot to me as well. I try my best not to say this too much because it would then border into like pandering kind of stuff. But I really do appreciate how much military watch our channel. Okay. It's an uncanny amount. Like Cliff's not in here, served in the Marines. Jared's not in here. Tony was in here. He served. A lot of you served in the military. Okay. I really do appreciate you. Big Al, I know your family has a lot of military as well. I really do appreciate it. Like I don't forget that. We had a viewer who is getting ready to graduate from the Air Force or retire from the Air Force. I appreciate it. I just do. Like, there's no other way around it. I should say it more, but you know, I don't want to be the guy. You understand what I'm saying, right? Because if you go up to a bunch of if you go up to most military members, you know, if you say thank you for their service, they say they really do appreciate it, but then they eventually say, you know, it's what we're supposed to do. But I really do appreciate it, Rob. I really do. And thank you for all your support to the military. And on a far lesser note, thank you for supporting me personally. Rob believes in me. He really does. And I'm not just saying that. We've had conversations via email. There was something that happened on another channel, and Rob wanted to make sure everything was good. And you're just a nice guy, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's kind of crazy, right? A lot of our best viewers are named Rob. Got to shout him out again. King Robert. Love you, man. King Robert's always going to be with us. And for next week, I'm glad, you know, we're talking about this now. I will be going to King Robert's services, and the live stream schedule might change because of it. Okay. I know he loved all of you. We're obviously been missing him on the chat. Life happens, and yeah. Rob throwing down tonight. Hey, trust me, when I tell you these summer months get slow, they get slow. And your donations is what fuels this channel. That's all there is to it. We'll chat about this for a little bit. Darren Branch. I don't know a whole lot. I know he is I know he's walking on. And I wish him nothing but the best. Amite High School, obviously, you know, Amite's known for Devonta Lee, but more notably, you guys know what I'm talking about. The guy that went to Alabama, you know who. Ishmael Saucer, kidding, but he did go to Alabama from Amite. Devonta Smith. So, yeah, that's cool. You know, he was at Georgia. Now he's walking on at LSU. Can he play? Is the SEC playable? I don't know. But if you jump to LSU and you have safeties experience, and that means you really want to be there, you're walking on. Maybe you can get some special team snaps out of it. So, dismissed. What actually happened there? I don't know. Still, you know, you walk on. Do you got a scholarship somewhere else? I don't know. I don't know his full situation. But now he's with LSU. Bring some championship experience. I don't know the extent of what he was involved with in 2021 with the Georgia national championship team. But let's hope. Let's hope he can give us some snaps somewhere. That's good. From the bottom of my heart. Every time I get to tune into the live show, I'm happy to be amongst such fine and outstanding people, even though I haven't been here from the start. I've always felt welcome. Yeah, Chris, so I did some reading into this. I tried to, if you know something and you don't want to share it, feel free to DM. I just couldn't find anything. Like it's such a bizarre thing, right? That we're at this point. What's up, Jason? Good to see you. Speak of the devil, show some of these PHL t-shirts off. There's Jason right there with this PHL shirt. Who is going to join the PHL t-shirt club tonight? There's Jason. You can see how excited that is. That PHL shirt makes you feel great. And I got to shout out Chris. Chris is one of my really good buddies, and he is also one of our sharpest viewers on PHL. He is also a member of the PHL t-shirt club. See in there. That's a really beautiful people in here tonight. I still can't get over Tony the Tiger switching his avatar. All I know is this, okay? So one of my closest viewers, and I really do feel a connection with this young man, is Max, okay? Every time Max is in the chat, things are always better. Max is hilarious. Max is the first person I've ever heard the Texas 8-4 joke from. Thought it was great. Okay. But we're always better when Max is in here. Now, what's funny is Max and I have emailed a bunch. He is also a member of the PHL T-shirt club. If you want to join the PHL T-shirt club, all you got to do is follow the instructions down below, and you get an LSU card. And I say LSU card, you actually get a ton of LSU cards and a bunch of LSU memorabilia with your order. And I just include it. It's just part of it. Okay? Now, once again, I'll show you. As you can see, I wonder what Michael B is going to. Michael B. Jordan, this is your chance. As you can see, Jason got a Joe Burrow card. That's the bottom left corner. I love that Joe Burrow leaf design right there. Nice little pastel card. And you can see a DJ Chark is in there. T. Higgins. There's a Tyrann Mathieu Prism card in there. And sticker band. I also, for Jason, threw in an extra national championship t-shirt. So I send most of my LSU memorabilia that I have, right? So that goes with each and every t-shirt order. And you obviously help grow the channel. Chris got a lot of Kansas City Chiefs cards because he is a big Kansas City Chiefs fan. So if you do get a shirt, make sure you let me know who your favorite team and your favorite players are. And I always try my best to hook you up with as many as I possibly can. And the most important thing is if you have kids, I'll send them plenty of cards as well. Chris? Very interesting. So I'm glad Chris brought this up. So let's have a conversation about it. Conversation. Can't even talk. Conversation. So look, it's going to be a new thing. Okay. We've heard this a lot. Name, image, and likeness is turning college football into professional sports. Okay. And a lot of that is true. There is a more professional aspect to the sport we know as college football, right? And I'm fine with players getting their money. I am. Now, the spirit of the rule has not been followed by everyone, but we knew that. Rules have always been broken. But you want to know what's funny? And I think Chris actually will agree with me on this, all right? Because Chris understands roster limitations, okay? And I went on a long diatribe about this with college baseball. I won't do it again tonight. Now, the one thing that's very interesting, okay? Name, image, and likeness does make college sports feel more like professional sports. But I'm here to share with you the one thing that will make college sports even more like professional sports. And that is the new scholarship limitations. Okay. This has always been college football's dirty little secret. All right. Players get pushed out. They do. And this is something, if you don't follow college sports really closely, most of you do. But even if you do, we tend to forget this. And when I started early in my career, I tend to forget this as well. Okay. Your scholarship is not guaranteed. It is for that year. But not for the next. At the end of every year, the LSU football team or any football team can pull your scholarship if they well please. And as many of you know, college football is not in the morality business. And to further prove this, other players aren't going to quit if one of their friends loses their scholarship just for poor performance. So now, as competitive as college football is, as competitive as the recruiting game is, as competitive as the transfer portal is, if you want to know a rule that's going to make college sports feel like professional sports, it is not name, image, and likeness. It is that. That sport will, or that aspect will make it feel like professional sports, because I'm here to tell you this right now. If you have never been fired in your life, if you have never been cut in your life, you don't know what a professional sports team feels like until that happens. Okay? You guys know the Michael Jordan story. Maybe that's why Michael was such a good professional athlete, because his butt got cut in high school. There is no better coming to Jesus moment than when you get shown the door. Okay? Now, for most most college athletics, okay, 2-year NIL scholarship contracts can fix that a lot. Now, what's really interesting is for every other year, the scholarship limitations protected the bad players on the team. The recruits that weren't really that good, the recruits that couldn't play. Because you can only sign so many players, right? You can only sign so many transfers. If you were capped at 25, guess what? If you were in the bottom portion of your recruiting class, you were essentially safe for the rest of your career. Okay? All you had to do was show up and show out. If you showed up and you worked out and you were, decent scout team player, you were given a scholarship straight out of high school, you could stay. There are plenty of LSU busts that were top 250 guys that stayed the full 4 years and got to stay on scholarship. With this, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know. So this is what I would especially do, okay? And Max makes a really good super chat here. Shout out to Max, our New York chapter president of PHL. 2-year NIL scholarship contracts could fix a lot. It could, right? But the athlete who is signing that deal might not might not want to sign that because maybe that player wants to transfer the next year. So it's a tomato situation. This is what I would tell every single high school recruit. Okay? And I really do mean this. If I was a mentor to high school recruits, or I know some high school recruits that have watched our channel in the past, if I could tell them one thing, especially now with this new rule, you are not guaranteed anything. You are not guaranteed anything. Okay? Every roster slot is a spot that can go to somebody else now. Okay? Gone are the days where you're protected by the 25 cap. The first thing I would say is when you sign, you are not guaranteed that second year unless you sign a deal like what Max has, where it's an NIL or whatever. Unless you sign something like that, right? And the second thing I would do, and I wish, and I don't follow recruiting this closely. I don't talk to enough kids enough. But what I would do is when a kid signed to a school, I would hammer home the idea of decisiveness in their brain. In other words, when you sign and you commit, or if you transfer to a new school, get it out of your head that you would succeed better somewhere else. Okay? Because during the season and during this portion, there's nothing you can do about it. Even if you hate the new offensive coordinator or you hate your new position coach, stick it out, give it your hardest, because even if you transfer to a new school, nothing is guaranteed at that new school. Because what I think is starting to happen is there's a lot of players who have apathy in their current situation and don't take it serious anymore, and they're already looking forward to the next stop. It's the worst thing you can do. It is the absolute worst thing you can do. I'll get on Blake about that. But Straub skills, my question to you would be, why don't you get some PHL apparel as well? And then you get your PHL apparel, and then I could get onto Blake about his AYS apparel. Okay? D. Will, what's good? Golden Boot, what's up? But I would hammer home that point, because I will say this. There was a 4-star athlete who I was really close with at LSU. Okay? And he didn't work out. He did end up transferring. And I remember talking to him, and he would just say, Carter, I made the wrong decision. I made the wrong decision. I should have never come to LSU. And he said, I like the school. This just wasn't the right decision for me. And that's fine if you feel that way. But you want to know what happened? He kept thinking that he thought that the new school he was going to be better. And he didn't pan out. He didn't pan out. Played a few special team snaps, didn't pan out. Right? You've got to make the most of your situation. Now, this is where it gets interesting. All right? Especially with the 85 scholarship thing. I want everyone to go back, if you can, after the show. We've had a lot of great guests. This guy was really good. And we don't talk about him enough on this channel. I know we talk about Jay Hill a lot. We're very fortunate Jay Hill has become a big part of what we're doing here. Very, very happy to have him in the chat. Very happy to have him as a friend. He gives me a lot of insights as a player that I simply, just can't have because, I didn't run a 4.5, but I'm very happy to have him. I'm very happy to have, Van, Blake, all these people. They're just excellent, excellent, excellent people. But I want people to go back and listen to the conversation we had with Keith Sanchez. Okay. And some of it's dated. He's we were talking about the NFL draft, and that's why I had him on, and he's an NFL draft guy now. But for a while, he was a recruiting staffer at LSU. He was a personnel guy at LSU. And he was sharing the story about, and he's in his late 20s, really sharp guy. He was sharing a bunch of stories about the Louisiana 3-star thing. And he was a big Louisiana 3-star guy. And, I asked him a few questions afterwards, and he swore by it. He's like, Carter, I always bang the table for the Louisiana 3-star. Because, when you have these recruiting meetings, you have these big boards. Ed Orgeron did it this way. I don't know what BK's doing, but you had these huge dry erase boards, and, everyone has the players that they like, okay? And every single year, there are some 3-stars that some of you like, and there's some 3-stars that I like, and I'm not as high on. There's a lot, right? This is big for me, okay? A Louisiana 3-star will always feel like he has something he owes to you. Okay? When you sign players from out of state, the opposite is kind of true. You chase them. You went after them. That athlete's thinking, well, I could have gone anywhere. But the one thing about getting a Louisiana 3-star on campus is they dreamed of playing at LSU. They've always wanted to play at LSU. Their grandmommy, grandpoppies dreamed of playing at LSU. They grew up around it. And why that matters is because of that leverage, right? Not every Louisiana 3-star. And look, recruits know their rankings. They know where they are in the pecking order. Not a lot of them get that opportunity, right? Now, most Louisiana 3-stars aren't LSU level players. And I'd be the first to acknowledge it. The numbers just show that. But sometimes the guys that you do get into that situation oftentimes are your best players. And this is something that's very interesting as well. I want you, if you've ever done this, this will blow your mind. I was actually on an NFL draft show with Blake, and he had another guy on. And what was interesting was Mike Uva, and he's a really sharp guy, or Uva. I think that's how you say his last name. And this goes back to Chris's comment a minute ago. He was talking about, all the 4-stars and 5-stars Georgia had and how much success they had in the NFL draft. And he was talking about Georgia, Ohio State. But what was very interesting about the draft was at that time, Ohio State and Georgia's 3-star recruits were the ones that were getting drafted high, right? Chris Olave was a 3-star recruit. Jordan Davis was a 3-star recruit. So I'm not saying go get more 3-stars. But the one thing a 3-star recruit has is they are indebted to you, right? They know most of their types don't get those offers. So when they get to campus, they are oftentimes your hardest workers. Okay? It's just true. It's not just LSU that's had a lot of 3-star success. Okay? I'm just going to list off a bunch of Ohio State 3-stars. Okay? Darren Lee, first-round linebacker. Unbelievable player. I think, was Damon Arnett a 3-star? I don't remember. Okay? Now, here's a big one. Michael Thomas was a 3-star recruit. Obviously, one of the best players in the NFL. One of the best players in the NFL. Ohio State's 3-star success is insane. Insane. Okay? I could see that too. What's up, Kobe? Good to see you. Carter ran a nice low 5.62. Big facts. Going out of state has almost backfired on us. Speaking of facts, West Coast, East Coast kids. Oh God, this Clifton Garrett. And it's interesting, right? My favorite Louisiana linebacker ever. Okay. And this was when I first started looking into recruiting. All right. I was writing for Bleacher Report and I saw Clifton Garrett's high school tape, and I was like, okay, a 5-star. I don't see it, but he could be right. But there was another linebacker named Kenny Young, and I think Kenny is still in the league. And he went to UCLA dominating. He's still in the league. That's one recruiting loss I'll never get over. Now, I don't know but Dan, you might know more about this than I do. I don't know like the story behind what happened with Kenny Young's recruitment. God, he could play though. That kid was a monster. Monster. And Clifton Garrett was the linebacker we got in that class. He could not play. Like he just wasn't good. So what? So did we pass on Kenny Young? I never knew the story on that. If we passed on Kenny Young, there's somebody I need to fist fight. Why does Louisiana not allow other universities to attend high school summer camps, but they can attend ones out of state? I understand there's legislation passed for that. That rule seems like he's hurting our in-state kids from getting scholarships to other places. Everyone can't go to LSU. So I'm going to be honest. I'm not as well versed on this. I don't know the full rules about like who can go to which camps or not. I've heard different things about blocking schools from camps. But here's what I'll say about that specifically is I do think a lot of Louisiana 3-stars get a lot of D1 offers from really good schools. I do. Like, I think it hurts some of them, but for every like Louisiana 3-star that does go out of state, okay, for every one, there's 3 that just aren't any good, right? So here's a good example of this. This is a weird one, Todd. I don't know the full story about this kid's evaluation, but there was a kid named Zach Tom, okay, and he got drafted. He was one of the highest rated offensive linemen, like in that second tier. I think he was drafted in the 3rd or 4th round. And maybe a little bit, maybe some of my Baton Rouge guys in the chat could tell me a little bit more about Zach Tom, but he went to Catholic High. So, he was playing with a lot of these really good, Catholic High players. Now, of course, he was a little bit after Geist, but he was around the Clyde Edwards-Helaire region. And, it just kind of, we were hurting for offensive linemen. And he went to Wake Forest and dominated. He was a really good football player there. But for every one of those guys, there's like 2 or 3 that don't end up doing anything. And then you get into like, as far as like the Louisiana 3-star debate, maybe sometimes it's that player not getting the LSU offer gave them that little extra chip on their shoulder to, become a great player. Something else that's really interesting. So when I was doing this running back deep dive, I found this to be really fascinating, how bad some of those Saban offenses were. Like, in 02 with Marcus Randall, I think we just kind of 3-yard in a cloud of dust a little too much. And like, that's what Saban did. That's what Saban and Jimbo did. But I think Marcus Randall would have benefited from spreading it out a little bit more, right? Especially considering, in those 01, 02, 03 offenses, how good those receivers were. Michael Clayton, Devery Henderson, Skylar Green, those guys could really play. And, I went back and I looked at the numbers like LeBrandon Tofield and Dominic Davis in particular. So that's how deep the running back studies have been. Both those guys are like decent, but it was a lot of these, and you guys know what I'm talking about, these 20 carries for 78-yard kind of games, right? And, 20 carries for 78 yards is not good, right? It means and Tofield and Dominic Davis were good football players. It's just, we would just 3 yard in a cloud of dust. And I was like, why are we doing this? Why does this make sense? Oh yeah, J Jet. Yeah, I think, if you go back to our Keith Sanchez interview, I think the thumbnail says Sanchez. He talked about like the first day Justin Jefferson started coming to camps and how he was just routing everybody. It's crazy. Oh yeah, the Dak Prescott Les Miles. It's always a fun conversation. It's kind of crazy, right? It's late. I'm gonna give you all right, and I kind of wanted to do it. So this is going to be some of the stuff that we're going to be doing on Patreon, right? A lot of the stuff I don't end up doing videos on. I have like 5 or so videos I've just like never released. And it's like this deep dive stuff that's not great for like a YouTube algorithm, because only if you're like a super diehard LSU football fan, you would find this interesting. But regarding Dak Prescott, it just didn't make sense that, we weren't offering, he was the highest rated quarterback in his class too. I went back and looked at it, and I believe maybe someone could go look at it again. There might have been someone higher. I think Dak was the highest rated quarterback in that class. I think he was 2011 as well, that Jarvis Odell class. I mean, we had gotten met in that class. Was it 2010? I'll look it up really quickly. And here we go. Dak Prescott as a recruit. Yeah, it was 2011. We had gotten Met, so that was fine. Met was really good for us. And honestly, Met fit in what we were doing. And here we go. Paul Turner kind of played quarterback at West, but he was recruited as an athlete. And there you go, Dak Prescott duel. See that right there in the middle? And he was the highest rated quarterback according to 247. Crap, I was saying something. I just forgot it. Because I looked at the Dak Prescott thing. To be honest, Vince Young would have been a beast at tight end. Come here, buddy. Come here. You want to say hi to everybody? Everyone come. You want to see my little friend? What's up, bud? What's up, buddy? Easy, baby. We're talking about football.
Mhm.
Did Ken and them leave?
Oh yeah.
Say hi.
We ordered a Domino's pizza.
You ordered a Domino's pizza? You did? What flavor?
The little meatball things and cheese.
The little meatball things?
Hey,
You don't even love her.
yes it do. What? You can bite me? Yeah.
Everyone, tell everyone why they should get a booger band. Show your booger band to the camera.
Oh.
Hold it up high. There you go. Look at you. All right, now take the baby. Get back to work. You got it? All right. Thank you.
I'm coming.
Stephen Rivers. Nothing like good old nepotism. You want to know what's interesting about this, Todd? Is I want you to really think about this. All right. So we there's something else about recruiting rankings that's very interesting. Hey, buddy. Oh, there we go. Nothing better than this. Thank you, buddy.
You're welcome.
Make sure Z doesn't get in here. Thank you. She's so sweet. She really is. That makes my heart. And I look. It's gonna sound crazy, but there's nothing like that. Nothing better than that. Tony, what's up, man? So, if you look back historically, okay, the best LSU players, okay, some of them were the sons of like other LSU players, right? But when you really think about it, think about how many famous people have had siblings play at LSU. Siblings, cousins. So like Stephen Rivers is a good example of this. But like Jakari Gore. Now, who here remembers Jakari Gore? I know Chris is super sharp, but Jakari Gore. So everyone was excited because, you know, he was Frank Gore's cousin, right? And everyone's like, oh my God, we got ourselves one here. And he wasn't any good. He just wasn't good. And Stephen Rivers was kind of the same thing, right? But if you actually go back and look at like Stephen Rivers' high school stats, he wasn't good. But LSU has had some really good, you know, Thad Moss, obviously, Carl Malone, KJ Malone, Max Johnson, Brad Johnson. They've had a lot of famous and successful athlete sibling cousins play. A lot. Now, it's interesting. What's very interesting is didn't LSU get Snoop Dogg to Baton Rouge for a visit for Cornell Brodus? Now, there's a deep cut. Ole, ole, ole. Bill Belichick. I like that. David. Yeah, so Daniel, did he just not want to play? You know what's interesting is like, so like Shaq's son. You know, he gets so big on Instagram. I guess I don't know if you grow up so rich, and it's not just the fact that like Cornell Brodus or Sharif O'Neal or Bronny James or whoever. It's not just that you grow up like that rich. You grow up like the son of an A-list celebrity, right? You tend like A-list celebrities, we tend to think of a lot of people as A-list celebrities, but there's actually only a few A-list celebrities. An A-list celebrity is someone that I would say 4 out of every 5 people know who they are, right? And when you're the son of a famous person like that, you have no worry in your life, right? Like, you know, you can make club appearances the rest of your life. Just show up. It's kind of hard to have that hunger to be a elite athlete, right? And that's what's going to make you know who very interesting. Does Arch Manning truly want to be great? The Key and Peele sketch? Which one? The football last name? So this is a good point right here. I'm not saying that like you know they're spoiled. For instance, my point is this, right? If you have, let me look up how many Instagram followers Sharif O'Neal has right now. Okay. Wow. Okay. I want you to guess right now in the chat. How many Instagram followers does Sharif O'Neal have? Just give it a guess. Chipper says 2.7. David says 3 million. Rob says 12. God, that's a lot. 12 is a lot. 3.4 million. $2.9. It's close. The answer is 2.7 million, right on the money. 2.7 million. Okay. So, that's a lot. Like that is a lot. So you know, it depends on your interactions and stuff like that. But like 2.7 million Instagram followers, if you post like an ad, like you post like just a story or whatever, at 2.7 million, you're probably getting anywhere from like $25 to $50,000 just for one. Like it's just if you post it one time, right? That's for like some of the higher end accounts. I guess if you just posted like just one time, you probably gets 5 to 10K, but that's just for like one post. You just post it, they give you the script, and there you go. And athletes also get a higher conversion rate from what I read. So yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, sure, he put in a lot of work to get to where he is, and he is a good basketball player, but that's it's pretty nuts, right? Like, with social media, Bronny is set. Like, even if he doesn't make it to the league, he's set. Like, you could be your own person there. But 2.7 million is a lot of people. That is a lot of Instagram followers, right? So, like, for instance, Joe Burrow has 3, right? And look at what all he's accomplished. He has nearly accomplished everything you possibly can as a quarterback. State champion, college champion, Heisman Trophy winner, greatest season of all time, Super Bowl runner-up. Technically, still hasn't made a Pro Bowl, but he's accomplished everything, and he plays the most high-profile position in the most high-profile league. Joey B is at 3 million. Ugh, I forgot to put the subscriber blocks up. We finally got the porn bots in, and that's going to cost me my monetization for this video. It's going to end this poll question.
What's wrong? Baby?
Let me Sharif O'Neal could be. Oh, here's a good one. This is totally random, but I am very curious. I was trying to think of somebody that's a good comp. Okay. I mean, there's some things you could do. But yeah, I should have. That was on me. Okay. So this poll question is totally random. I am very interested, though. Would you rather be Sharif O'Neal or Mo Claiborne? Who would you rather be? Right? Mo Claiborne accomplished a lot as an actual player, All-American, Thorpe Award winner, was a not so great pro, but played in the league. Probably, if I was going to guess his salary, he probably made, maybe I could look it up real quick. He probably made $10 to $15 million in his career. But if you're Sharif O'Neal, for the rest of eternity, you're going to be invited to every major party. You're going to live in LA. You could still make, the NBA. You could still play professional basketball, be a DJ, and do whatever you want. The world's your oyster. So would you rather be the athlete who accomplished some? Or would you rather be the son of a famous athlete with your future still ahead of you? Shaq is a dad. Huh? 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 Dang, Mo Claiborne is winning the vote so far. Here you go, Mo. So yeah, um, this was a fun live stream. We touched on so many different topics. We had guests. It was great. But more importantly, we are nearing the end of it. But here's a fun thing. If you super chat, we'll keep it going. You guys can super chat and ask me anything LSU football related. But as many of you know, when we touch close to the 2-hour mark, you can ask me about anything. Okay. Yeah, pretty much anything. Ask me anything. And I'll feel free to answer. It could be anything LSU football related. It could be anything related. Now, I've got a few questions about Liverpool. It was a tough match. Once again, we outshot them 24-3. It's pretty crazy. Like, we outshot everybody in all our major finals this year, and we still scored 0 goals. I don't know what to do to fix that. I just don't. Sometimes it's just unlucky. Soccer can be a little like hockey. Sometimes it's a lucky ricochet. We gave up our goal today on a defensive lapse, and it was a bad one. It was a young player who did it, but you know, it's uh, it's up. But still, we will survive. We still had a great year. Won 2 trophies. That's obviously great. 2 lesser trophies, but they're still 2 great trophies to have. And, to lose the premiership by a point and to lose the Champions League in the finals sucks. I'm happy we made it that far. That's obviously great, but we'll see. And that'll be the most you ever hear me talk about Liverpool on here. It sucked, though. Today sucked. Someone said earlier, Carter, you look like you're jet lagged. Yes, when you watch your team in a national championship game, like when you watch LSU, you're a nervous wreck. Now, what's very interesting for me is like the LSU Clemson game. I don't know how you guys felt about this. I was nervous. Like, are we going to beat Dabo? Or are we going to beat Trevor? To be the greatest team of all time. But I just always kind of felt LSU was going to win it after the Bama game. I just felt we were going to go undefeated. I just did. The Bama game, I was nervous as crap. But still, you're nervous, right? After the national championship game, we were all just tired. Like we had just witnessed something we know we'll never witness again. But we can win another national championship, of course. May not be to that level. But, for me, and this is just how I feel, when you watch a final and you really love the team, it's emotionally draining to the point where you're like, God, I kind of wish I was a neutral observer. One of my buddies, B-Top, I was talking to him yesterday, and he was like, Carter, you know what? I'm really excited that I'm just going to get to watch this final, and none of my teams are in it. And sometimes I'm like that as well. Like, I just like the Super Bowl was stressful because, there's a lot of us that wanted Witt and Odell to win one, and then there's more of us that wanted Odell and Jamar to win one. So it was a little stressful, but it wasn't like overly stressful. What's up, George? Good to see you, man. Ole, ole, ole. Ole, ole, ole. Ole, ole, ole. Matthew Finnery.
The baby bears walking y'all.
Dallas Mavericks?
Hey, babe. Everything's out for you in there, and there's pizza.
We got pizza?
It's in the fridge.
Fresh got pizza?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in the fridge.
I mean, all right, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. We got pizza and cinnamon rolls out of here. There's Jared. Jared had a burger night tonight, and he said, you know what, Carter? F you. We're having burgers tonight. I'm not going to be a part of the chat. I get it, Jared. I get it. You don't like hanging out with me anymore. I totally get it. Show me 100. I kind of feel like starting a show tonight. Family won't leave. What do you think LSU's bottom, and what do you think their peak? Yeah, I think the bottom isn't low enough, and I think the top isn't. I think the top is where it should be, right? And I don't think 8-4 is a bottom here. I just don't. I think the Vegas over under is at 7.5 or 6.5, honestly. So those guys know more than we do. They see the action. Straub skills, even though we're about to, sign off, I want to show you this video right here. We talked about it the other night. And in this video, pull it up. Oh, no, not that. That's not what I want. Copy link address. That's what we want right there. All right, Straub. We are signing off, but that video right there is the exact answer to your question, and it's a short video too. So watch that video, and I touch on, what's a floor, what's a ceiling, okay? So yeah, this was a fun live stream. Really do appreciate it. Tomorrow, let's see, what are we doing tomorrow? I'm going to try and get the running back study up by tomorrow, okay? S Power Hour LSU. Bah! And tonight, oh yeah, you already heard it. We're doing pizza and cinnamon rolls. Let's go. Let's go.